Alrighty, got the heat going in the shop this morning, and I'm finishing pre-drilling all my holes for my rails on the bed and getting these screwed down. I'm using a coarse thread metal Phillips panhead tapping screw. They seem to work pretty good. They fit good on the rails. They hold really well in the MDF. Alright, now I spun it around. I gotta do the other side of the rails. I'm gonna work on those now. I'm going to try to get better at documenting this build, and at the end I will do a layout of all the measurements that I use, the rails I bought, where I got them, everything I can think of. So if anybody wants to recreate this build, hopefully it comes out good and works precisely. They'll be able to build one just like it. Eventually I would like to upgrade it. Honestly, I'd love to build a 4x8 cutting area one, all out of aluminum. But if I can, I would like to rebuild the X-axis and the Z and make that in aluminum to upgrade this table. I think the base will be fine the way it is. I just think the aluminum X and Z axis would be a lot better, sturdier. I don't find any need really that the base would have to be aluminum, as long as the rails are solid. I think it worked perfectly fine. And when working with MDF, I highly recommend pre-drilling everything and using coarse thread screws. I'm really liking these metal screws. They're Phillips head. They work really well. They bite really good. If you don't pre-drill, you chance the possibility of cracking your MDF, which, even though I pre-drilled, I did get a couple cracks in my X-axis build. Nothing that's going to hurt it because it's slightly cracked, but everything's been glued, screwed, excuse me, and bolted on my X-axis for strength. And then I also used construction adhesive in all the corners of the joints. And I also did the same underneath the bed. I put cross supports, just I believe they were 1.5 inches tall, just to help keep this platform nice and flat. Because I've got a full sheet of MDF, and then I have a spoil board on top of that of MDF, and it's pretty heavy. My spoil board is exactly the same size as the bottom, except it's about 2.5 to 3 inches shy of being the full length, which I'm not too worried about because I'll leave that gap to the back of the bed where the router won't be routing anyway. And here's what I was talking about pre-drilling. I pre-drilled that and I was just using a sheetrock screw and I still got a crack in it. Maybe I didn't pre-drill it quite far enough, I'm not sure, but I recommend getting a bit that's not overly big for your screw, but one that'll eliminate the cracking, but will also let your screw allow it to grab well. Alright, I have the rails all screwed down on the bed. They're really solid. Like I say, I really like these sheet metal screws. They grab, I think, a lot better than the sheetrock screws did that I use for a temporary build. And this here, as you can see, is the construction adhesive I put in the corners. That'll help strengthen it up quite a bit. I also hit it in the back. As you can see, I kind of built my x-axis kind of like an I-beam effect. I think it'll help give it strength. And also the front part, as you can see here, is deep enough to cover almost all the bearing and the rails. I think I left a 1/4 inch gap in here between that and where my Z-axis plate will be, or I should say X-axis plate.